Welcome back. It's the Big Blue Banter New York Giants football podcast. I'm Dan Schneider, joined as always my co-host Nick Filato. This is the defensive all 22 coaches film review of the Giants' loss to the Cowboys. We're going to do things a little bit differently for those who are new. We're going to start with a brief overview of our notes and our key takeaways. Then we'll get right into the film. We think this is better. Last episode, we tried to just go right into the film, and we personally feel like some of the overarching notes and themes and thoughts set up the tape. And so I know some of you have said, just get right into the tape. Go right into the tape. It's supposed to be a film review. Well, that's why we have chapters now. So if you don't want to hear the setup and the overarching analysis, that's fine. We don't blame you. Do what you want. Just click on the video, look down in the chapter notes, and click to the film review, and you'll get there. So that's kind of a win-win, I think, for the best of both worlds, Nick.
Oh, I agree 100%. And you know what? We could even split the diff for ladies and gentlemen. As Dan and I talk about the overarching notes of this game, I'll run B-roll, okay?
Yeah,
and we'll go through just key plays from Kayvon Thibodeau, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, all the favorites, Dexter Lawrence. All right. But I just wanted to get into some of these notes, man. Like, look, this defensive performance, I felt like they played their ass off, the players specifically. But again, this is the same Shane Bowen defense that is a little bit unimaginative. I think like Bowen attempts to change up his system, like all of his attempts to change it up, they're more predicated on using different personnel and matchups, like Tay Banks against this one. When these guys are on the field, we're going to use multiple edges in this situation, different packages. But from an X's and O's and like different coverage standpoint, you don't really see a lot of imagination. You don't really see a lot of creativity. There was one play late in the game that I really liked, but I'm still unsure if it was an actual trap coverage or if it was Tyler Nubin trying to anticipate. And that was when CeeDee Lamb was kind of just shredding the Giants through quick game. They had Tyler Nubin as a buzz defender, just heavily right at the cut of the slant, just try to undercut CD, but Dak Prescott saw it coming and he just went to the backside and hit George Pickens on a play. I think I have that cut up. We'll go over it in a little bit. But overall, man, there's kind of a lot to take away here, especially after that Muasau injury. We saw Dane Belton play like 38 snaps in this game, which is probably the most he's played in quite a while. 14 for Board, 5 for Bozeman. What were some of your initial takeaways? And did you agree with my assessment when it comes to Shane Bowen and how he tries to get the most out of this talented group of players?
I completely agree with your assessment. And I think ultimately speaking, there's just not a lot of diversity to the game plans that he calls. Sure, you'll see some of the things you mentioned, but I watch some of these other defensive coordinators and it feels like they're doing more things to try to dictate to the offense. And that just doesn't seem to be the case a lot with Bowen. And the big takeaway I had, Nick, was, that play has become infamous, that 2nd and 14 in at the end of regulation where he just allows a 18-yard stop route. And we went over that before the pod, you and I, Nick, and we'll go over it again. And look, the players can make a better play on that, but why are we putting the players in position to have to do that? In my opinion, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, because I look throughout the game and I have some of them down there, a 4th and 3, which if the Giants get a stop on, Nick, the game's over at that point. It was like when they were up 30-27 around the 2-minute mark, and a 3rd and 8 later in the game, which again, if they get a stop on that, the Giants win the game. Among other plays, I think there was 1 or 2 others in my notes that I have to find. I don't know if I have them cut up. On all 4 or 5 of those plays, it was the exact same thing where they played the safeties far off the ball. And the weirdest thing about it to me, Nick, is right as the ball is snapped by the Cowboys defenders, the safeties are retreating backwards even further. It almost feels to me watching it like the Giants are playing 9 on 11 because it feels like these safeties are so far out of the play that, yeah, okay, great. We're playing a 9 on 11, but with the caveat of you can't beat us over the top. You're not going to hit a bomb touchdown. But so the F what? Make the quarterbacks have to hit those throws because not everyone throws with a 91% catchable ball rate like Russ did. Russ himself won't even throw that accurately like we saw in week 1. Pressure the quarterback, speed them up a little bit, their process, and force them to make these big-time throws where, yeah, maybe they won't have a safety over the top for this damn play, but at least you're not allowing these insane cushions because on that 4th and 3 and the 3rd and 8, which we'll go over later, there were, again, a 9 on 11 play, it felt like to me. The defense has 9 defenders. The 2 safeties aren't even part of it. So as we walk through this film and we talk about the overarching disappointment we have, Nick, in the investments we made in Tyler Nubin and Javon Holland, I don't know if I even want to blame them when they're just being walked out of the play with these retreats after the snap.
It's frustrating, man. It's playing at incredible depths. And it to me, what I think, since obviously the defense, they all work together, everything's married, run fits to coverage. is this just how Shane Bowen and the Giants staff feel about Cordell Flott, Tay Banks, and Paulson Adebo, that they think they have to have like this incredible depth all the time? Like, I don't think that's necessarily it, right? Especially because he has trust them in one-on-ones. Right. And I felt like Cordell Flott played one hell of a game here, Great man. Game. Yeah, he surrendered some catches, but dude, he was definitely an asset. He was one of the best Giants defenders out there. I don't think Paulson Adebo is as bad as Twitter thinks as well. Yes, he's going to lose some reps. He's going up against CeeDee Lamb. Right. He's going up. There's a lot on his plate, but overall, it's not like he's getting burnt like we've seen from past cornerbacks. That's not what's going on. But you're right, dude. The depth of these safeties, it's just, you do not have the athletes in the middle of the field to cover when you have those safeties at that depth. You do not have that. Bobby Okereke is not there. Micah McFadden, when he's healthy, I don't remember the last time the New York Giants have had a linebacker who can cover that much ground in zone, man. And when you're not running man coverage, and the Giants have issues running man coverage, covering those deep horizontal crosses to begin with, some of their better defenders like Drew Phillips. And a lot of that is because Jaden Daniels and Dak Prescott were putting just dimes out there through these first 2 weeks of the game. But when you have these linebackers out there and you're just dropping them in like spot drop zone, there's just so much space, dude. And I feel like they do a poor job having spatial awareness too. So it is a collective thing where it's the defensive structure, it's the system, but it's also the players in the spine and the meat of this defense.
Right. And that's my point. Like, I'll never be the person, Nick, who blames it all on a coach. I think it's stupid. I think a smart person who taught me football once said the players play, the coaches coach. You need to put more of the onus on the players. But when you know your personnel is what it is, and the Giants know their personnel is what it is, meaning they don't have linebackers who can play this, who can defend the middle of the field in any way, get themselves in passing lanes, react quickly, spatial awareness, understand where to be, get in passing lanes, play with great instincts. Well, then you can't have your safeties playing at that kind of depth. It seems pretty intuitive to me. Sure, if we had Fred Warner at the second level, Nick, I'm okay with what he's trying to do here, Shane Bowen. We don't have Fred Warner. We don't have anywhere close to Fred Warner, and we're getting thinner and thinner at the linebacker position as we speak. And the fact of the matter is, you made major investments in these safeties. So don't just play them as these safety valves, these guys who prevent you from getting any kind of, allowing any kind of 40, 50-yard bomb play, which, again, they didn't really hit in this game besides for the pass interference calls to Pickens. And so I get it. Look, you're preventing that big play. But these are the guys who need to make plays for you, Nubin and Holland. You're paying them to do so, or you're investing early round draft capital to do so. When you play them that far off the ball, in addition to retreating them after the snap, what kind of play can they be expected to make?
Yeah, I know. I don't think this is the best usage of them whatsoever. Before we get into the film in general, a couple other notes. I felt like Dallas used just a lot of misdirection, man. A lot of counter fakes, a lot of things like that to displace coverage defenders and gain leverage in the passing game. But with that said, the Giants, from a run standpoint, I felt like were much better this game. I know they had the 30-yard touchdown run. That was rough. I think that's Tay Banks. Tay Banks, like, you need to keep that tight. Like, the way the Giants fit counter for much of it, for basically this entire game, other than 2 plays, it was impressive. And you could tell the Giants were really dialed in all week, ensuring that they were able to fit a variety of different counters, because you had double H counters, you had GT, you had a lot of different meat coming through the play side, dude. And I felt like Okereke was quick to just get down there. The other linebacker would overlap. The contained defenders would contain. The edge rushers, Kayvon Thibodeau, was fantastic.
Walling it off. Yep.
Fantastic. Right when he saw the backside guard being that initial puller, or if it was the H-back, he kept it tight. It was block down, step down rules. And you'll probably see it whenever you see some of these plays in here, because Kayvon had like 2 or 3 of those where I was like, that is an excellent play by Kayvon Thibodeau. He spilt everything to the outside. Cordell Flott made the tackle, and you're like, that is defense, baby. That is defense. That is winning at the line of scrimmage. But then you had the one play that went for 30 yards and a touchdown, where Tay Banks is that player who needs to crack Jalen Tolbert, who is the puller, and he just doesn't. He doesn't keep it tight. Right. And that's the type of effort that you cannot have from a first-round pick, let alone somebody who's earning snaps. And Cordell Flott, look, I think Tay Banks is a better overall man coverage defender than Cordell Flott. But when you look at the effort that Cordell Flott is playing with, and then you see the effort that Tay Banks plays with, you're like, no, Tay Banks shouldn't see the field.
Yeah, Cordell Flott had, I thought, his best game as a pro, his most complete game as a pro, I should say. Yes. And part of that was because of how well he rallied to those underneath throws, and how well there was one play late to Ferguson where it really could have been a bad play, backbreaker for the Giants, and he rallied to Ferguson. He didn't, wrap him up and throw him to the ground, but he got him out of bounds. He wrapped him up and he got him out of bounds, and he didn't give up any more yards after that. And I just thought, generally speaking, he played with a great, great, great level of aggression. We'll get to more Flott later. I was incredibly impressed with Flott. I'm really excited about him potentially developing into a player for the Giants. Someone asked me on Twitter, oh, does this mean he could develop into CB1? No, I don't think that's in his future. I never thought that. Even when I liked the draft pick, I always thought, me, I don't think really anyone's going to be a cornerback one in the NFL level besides like the Surtain evals. I think it's just too tough of a position. But can he be a solid starter for the Giants cornerback too? I think so. I think he's starting to trend in that direction, which is really exciting for me, Nick, because it looks like we're trending in the opposite direction for Banks, where we may be looking at another first-round bust.
It certainly looks that way. But before we get into some of those other notes, do you want to get into the overall film?
Yeah.
Or do you have anything else? Do you have anything else we want to go over here?
For now, maybe just rapid fire some of these. We don't have to get deep into them. We'll get deep into them later, but I thought Dexter Lawrence was better on tape than I expected to be from the broadcast. I thought Kayvon Thibodeau, his steady drum beat is really starting to roar. He's having what I would consider to be a on film, at least breakout season. Yes, he's had more sacks at times in the past, or like decent sack numbers, but we've always kind of said the film hasn't really supported it as well. The film is supporting what he's doing. Brian Burns is a phenomenal player and a great trade. One of Joe Shane's best moves. These are just rapid fire things we talked about. Flott. I talked about the safeties a little bit. And then as far as Abdul Carter goes, like I thought he was better than what I've heard he was on tape from Giants fans. But I just think that they need to use him better too. I think this a little bit is on Shane Bowen, because on the interception by Drew Phillips, and we'll go over that, he gets the assist. Like they use him over the A gap and he gets there. Like we need to be doing that all the effing time. Like get him on the field a lot more. And yeah, you can have him on the edge sometimes, but like with our situation at linebacker, get him at that second level and don't be afraid to rush 5 guys and drop 6 instead of 7. He's so afraid, Bowen, in my mind, at least, to rush these extra guys at times.
Yeah, there were some blitzes with Drew Phillips coming off the edge, and Dak Prescott, to his credit, did a good job just quickly diagnosing it.
Yeah, a quarterback will beat that. I don't mean that, because I think a good quarterback will beat that shit. I mean just very simple, Nick. I mean 4 pass rushers and 1 guy over the A gap or the B gap coming a lot. That's what Spags used to do, dude. Like I know you're gonna love that, and you'll probably edit some bullshit over that. But I don't want to call it bullshit. It didn't make me look and put that in the whatever, and that's fine. It's part of the show and it's fun. But I mean, as simple as that. Like, do what Spags did with with Kavika Mitchell, and get a guy over the A or B gap and pepper it all game. Like that's something that Mike Zimmer made famous as well. We can keep it very simple. We don't need long corner blitzes or deep safety blitzes. Just put a little bit more pressure and trust these safeties to play a little bit further up. Like don't think that every single quarterback is going to beat you over the top if you're not playing your safeties 20 yards off the ball.
Yeah, it is. That's what it seems like, man. It definitely is a little disconcerting. You want to see a little bit more of an aggressive approach, but this isn't that type of coordinator, especially not with this personnel, which says a lot too. I mean, you want to rely on those front 4 to get home. Like I get that in theory, but sometimes you need to change it up, and it just hasn't worked. And I mean, we'll go over those last plays, but Shane Bowen ran the same exact play on the previous one where Kayvon got home and hit Dak Prescott. It was the same exact coverage, same exact plays, same exact depth. It just worked out. And then on the 18-yard one, look, Bobby Okereke was right in the area code. And then you had Dane Belton a little bit high, turned to the middle, preventing Jake Ferguson from running a crossing route, kind of like he was walling him off, only from depth. And I felt like Okereke was just slow because there was no other receiver even within his vicinity. And I don't know if he had his eyes on the running back who stayed in protection. I'm not 100% sure, but he was just slow to get there. And also that was compounded by the fact that you had just a fantastic throw from Dak Prescott.
Yes.
You released that football with anticipation, with 87. If you're watching it from the end zone angle, I saw 87 completely vertical. That means Jake Ferguson didn't turn until like basically the football was there and it hit him right in the chest. And it's the timing there. You just got to praise it, man. You just got to praise it.
You praise the timing, but then you also look at yourself and you say, why are you giving him that position to just have this clean pocket to throw from? Like, it's just so frustrating to me. This is not how you win. You win by dictating. Like, I'm so sure that Swink Martindale would have won this end of game for the Giants.
Probably, but he's not here no more.
Because it's not just this, by the way, Nick. It was the one possession before that, which we'll go over in a moment. I have that clipped up, that 4th and 3 that they converted.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's get into some of these plays. First is the first play of the second quarter. Remember, Giants did a fantastic job in those first 2 drives, shutting Dallas down. But then you started to see Brian Schottenheimer change some things up, because on the first drive, the 2nd and 3, you had a great run fit by the New York Giants. I think it was one of those power pin pull plays that we were going over before, and Okereke fit it so well. And then they forced a 3rd and 1, and and an eventual punt. But when you get to the plays that we have here, 3rd and 7, this is a sack by Brian Burns. I thought this was a weird play call by Brian Schottenheimer, because look at the spacing between the two receivers. They're stacked inside the numbers. They're kind of right on top of each other, and they allow the Giants to get 4 over 2. And also with matched on the tight end in the flat, Dak Prescott's looking in that direction. Just a terrible
Jason Garrett route combo was so bad.
Yeah, that was a really weird, really strange play call, 4 over 2. Nowhere for Dak to go. Brian Burns does a great job undercutting Tyler Guyton after getting chipped by Jake Ferguson and securing this sack.
Yep, great breakdown.
You see, and then he just sees it right there. And
that's part of my frustration, man. Like, I don't think Brian Schottenheimer is a good play caller or play designer, in my personal opinion. He's failed in multiple stops before Dallas, and it's been proven. So, like, why is it so easy for him to beat Shane Bowen? Why is it so difficult for Shane Bowen to give us anything? It's all we needed. We put up 37 points on offense. All we needed was anything from Bowen.
Yeah, I know. And they still were able to like get pressure, and they did some good things defensively too. But they still surrendered. Yes. Yeah, exactly. He still surrendered 40 freaking points, you know? Right. And look at Dexter Lawrence get held here.
Yeah, no call on that.
Yeah, they got to complain more. This is what they got to do. Like, he's complaining here.
Nothing happens.
I feel like Abdul Carter never complains. Like, Abdul,
no, he does a little bit more. Right. Yeah.
You got to complain a little bit more. Here's a 2nd and 6. The Giants defense does not seem set or confident like prior to the snap. You'll see them all like pointing and trying to figure out exactly where they're going. And this isn't like them just trying to be unpredictable. I don't think they're exactly sure what's going on. And this is where you start to see the curveballs. This is on the third drive. And this is a play action stretch play where Dak Prescott hits his back foot, far hash, and rips it to the other side of the field. Great throw. The Giants are attempting in this cover 1 type of look, this man coverage type of look, to have Okereke robot underneath CeeDee Lamb with Tay Banks over the top, and the throw just beats him. And also, this is one of those plays where you look at Bobby Okereke, Dan, and you're like, yo, you look slow. And I know it's CeeDee Lamb, but like, that does not look like a great athlete out there.
That was the first play that I said it on, and you'll see it throughout. But it sucks because he does a good job recognizing what's happening. But you know, how many times have you watched this exact clip or something pretty similar with Fred Warner carrying it, and you're like, holy shit, and he makes the play? We don't have that. We don't have anyone even remotely in the realm of that, or we don't have anyone like a prospect like that. Like Muasau, even if he plays his best and develops, will never be that. Same thing for McFadden.
Yeah, and you got the blitz coming from depth right here. And 87 does a good job picking it up. And dude, like Dak Prescott, like that little step right there, right? Hits the back foot, and then watch how he steps with the front foot forward, puts himself in the pocket in a harm's way where Dexter Lawrence is, and then fires that football, takes a hit, and the ball's right exactly where it needs to be.
It's an amazing play by Dak.
You know, fall cooking just hits different. For me, it's comfort meals during the week and tailgating food on the weekends. And if you're like me, always looking for something convenient but high quality, Omaha Steaks makes it easy. They deliver handcrafted USDA certified tender steaks, juicy burgers, chicken wings, and big deli style franks right to your door. I had their filet mignons recently. Perfectly aged, buttery, tender, and honestly better than most restaurant cuts. The convenience of having that level of quality in my freezer, ready for a quick weeknight dinner or Saturday grill out, it's a total game changer. Get fired up for fall grilling with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot sale event. And for an extra $35 off, use promo code BANTER at checkout. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code BANTER at checkout. Minimum purchase may apply. See site for details. A big thanks to our advertiser, Omaha Steaks. Link in description and pinned comment. Go to omahasteaks.com to get 50% off site-wide during their Red Hot sale event and use promo code BANTER at checkout for an extra $35 off. I've been wearing underwear every day for years, mostly, but I've never really felt like I found the one, you know? Either it rides up, punches, or just feels off. So when I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was honestly pretty excited. I tried their cotton 5-inch boxer briefs, and wow, they're a game changer. They hit perfectly at the thigh and actually stay there. No bagging, no wedgies by 5 o'clock, you know, just pure comfort. And for the gym, the stretch 5-inch boxer briefs are amazing. They move with you as you work out. They keep your shape, your form, and they do not ride up. If you want to feel comfortable, confident, and actually enjoy your underwear, shop Skims Men at skims.com. Let them know we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show, Big Blue Banter, in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you're looking for the perfect gifts for the whole family, Skims just launched a big holiday sale. So go to skims.com and check them out. Yeah, Dan, now we have this just good fit. This is a double H counter, and this is what I was referencing earlier with Kayvon. Watch Kayvon block down, step down. You see 78 block down on the 3, and he just crashes, bro. He crashes and he spills everything. So now you have this traffic jam right there where Javonte Williams is trying to hit that hole, and there's just nowhere for him to go because they can't kick out because excellent job by Kayvon Thibodeau to just bottle everything up. And then Javon Holland comes down, he contains, and Javonte has nowhere to. That's just a fantastic play.
Such a good play. Team run defense. They had, I'll say this, besides that 33-yard touchdown run at the end, you mentioned this earlier. If you look at the second half, the Giants held the Cowboys to almost nothing in their run game and plenty of like negative or 1-yard gains.
Yeah, I mean, that was just HH counter. In the play prior to that, it was a pistol sidecar type of play. So you could tell the Cowboys were trying to throw different formations and try to establish the run, but the Giants were holding up early. And then the play action passing attack was getting the Giants, but that set up this third and 10 eventually. And it's a sack on a TE twist where Kayvon Thibodeau gets an assist basically from Jake Ferguson, I think it is. Or no, it's Javonte Williams who hits him inside and gives him leverage on the guard to sack Dak Prescott.
And let's be clear, Nick, like this is what we hope for. This is what we expect. This is what Bowen is trying to establish here. A situation where he can rush 4 like this and still get a pressure like this. But that doesn't mean you have to play the safeties as these total safety valves. You can do that, rush 4, drop 7, but then have one of the safeties buzz down or and they did it at times. Like one of the safeties play CeeDee Lamb in a double coverage type of thing. It just, it's the plays where they have these safeties retreating like this. It just bothers me.
Well, this one at least is man coverage. This isn't zones. This is cover 5, so it's 2-man.
Not like this, just in general.
Yeah, 2-man. But Kayvon, like if Kayvon didn't get home, this was a touchdown to Kayvon.
I know.
Like Kayvon Turpin does a great job getting around. Who is that? I think that might be Cordell Flott. And you could see that Newman is going over top of CeeDee Lamb. And Paulson Adebo doing a good job. That's Tay Banks is doing a really. They really wanted Tay Banks to press. They trusted Tay Banks a lot with CeeDee Lamb, which says something about Tay Banks' man coverage ability. Sure. And again, there's a lot of potential there with Tay Banks. It's just there's a lot to be concerned with, and I think a lot of that is personal to Tay Banks, not necessarily his play. Other than maybe them not trusting him in zone coverage, but when it comes to man coverage, they can trust him to execute these types of assignments. But Javon Holland's a little slow to see exactly what's going on with Turpin, and that should have probably been a touchdown. And I think Dak was about to pull the trigger there, but. Good job by Kayvon and Abdul Carter to get the pressure and get home. Yeah, man, that's good. Good rush there. Now we're gonna have a 1st and 10, quarter 2, 3:11 left. This is another quality GT counterfeit where you're gonna have that backside guard pull, or not GT, it's GH, I guess. But Kayvon again, block down, step down, create the traffic jam, spill to the outside. Javon Holland fits. Love to see it, man.
Great team defensive play.
And Muasau as well as the backside linebacker.
Kayvon, no one should ever question Kayvon's effort. And I think at times Giants fans question that at the beginning. I feel like he gives everything and he sacrifices his body on run plays like this.
Yeah, no, this is excellent. Muasau does a good job also blowing this up, taking away one blocker, and then Okereke does a good job overlapping.
I didn't think Muasau was that bad before the concussion, by the way. He's a limited athlete, but outside of that, I thought he was much better this week.
Yeah, he's a limited athlete and he's small. So there was one play where Tyler Booker got his hands on him and Muasau actually jolts Tyler Booker. And I was like, oh, there's like a nice punch. But then you just see Tyler Booker lock him out and Muasau like try to like impose his like strength against Booker. And it's just like, come on, man.
What do you think of Booker, by the way? We talked a lot about him in the pre-draft. I'm just curious what your thoughts were. He
had his mistakes, but I didn't like pay like super close attention to him. But he had his mistakes. But I mean, I think he was very similar to what I saw on college. He's going to be a good football player.
Yeah, I thought so. I focused on him a few snaps. I thought he looked pretty good.
Yeah, tough assignment too, man. He playing up against Dexter Lawrence and Roy Robertson Harris. But Dex was good. Yes, 3rd and 9 touchdown. Drew Phillips gets beat. Drew Phillips had a up and down game, more up than down, but still he surrendered he surrendered like 11 catches in this game. This is offside.
Yeah. This is after the Giants. They should have never even been in this position. A lot of these drives, I felt like the Giants took a penalty or did something stupid to put themselves even in a position like this.
I know, man. Yeah, it was pretty consistent. Here's a 2nd and 10. Dak Prescott gets hit, and it's an interception by Drew Phillips, which was facilitated by the interior pressure from Abdul Carter. It's cover one. You have Javon Holland on the top, over top. You see him collapse down. I thought that was a really good angle by Javon Holland. If Drew Phillips doesn't do such a good job staying in phase here, this is an exceptional play, individual effort, not just because he got the interception, but just from a fluidity standpoint, ability to stay in the hip pocket. He gets tight on the receiver. You see he's tight right on the hip of the receiver, and he just maintains the line and just undercuts it. Great play. Javon Holland, also good angle. But watch Abdul Carter from the second level if you're watching on YouTube. Late blitz.
That's what I mean. That's what I want to see.
Yep. And he's held too.
Yeah. He gets through the hold. You're right. It is another hold that they just don't call.
Dude, there were a lot of holds in this game, man. Again, not to be that guy, but there were a lot.
No, but it was true. But this is what I mean. Like, you can sacrifice a defender here in rush 5. Like, and if you're running them over the A gap or the B gap, in my mind, I don't want to see it from safeties and corners. Personally, I always find those to be safeties, especially. I think is one of the dumbest calls you can make as a defensive coordinator, unless you time it perfectly and the safety's lined up over the slot. If he's coming from depth, I think that's one of the dumbest calls you can make, and I hope we don't do that. But over the A gap or the B gap like this, sure.
Yeah, and also you have it's the alignment. You're creating the one-on-one matchup for Abdul Carter with Dex as a 3 and then a 2 in Roy Robertson Harris, because the guards, obviously both the guards are going to be occupied. So unless Williams stays in, which he does, but he has to meet Bobby Okereke. I guess he's going to release out. Maybe he thought Okereke was blitzing. It's a tough assignment for a center, dude.
Very tough.
Yeah. Now, this is the failed fit. This is where the Giants went wrong. They were good against counter until they weren't. The 30-yard touchdown scamper by Javonte Williams. Again, the Giants, they play it, I wouldn't say as excellently as they did previously. Abdul Carter goes wide here, so he doesn't have that block down step down that Kayvon had. He tries to go around the tight end, but then he collapses. But you can see how Chris Board, who I think I initially thought was the culprit here, he comes in and he takes on. He wrong arms. That doesn't mean he's wrong, but when you wrong arm, you spill. So he's spilling, meaning he's kicking he's forcing him out to the contained defenders. The contained defenders are Javon Holland and Tay Banks. But watch Tay Banks not keep it tight at all. He just stays so passive, doesn't jolt Jalen Tolbert into 33. And maybe he thought he had to stay to the outside, and that's me being kind to Tay Banks. But you have Javon to execute that. Instead, basically takes this rushing lane that Board tried to wrong arm. He keeps it wide instead of narrowing it, instead of creating the traffic jam that we've referenced several times. That's such a passive looking play. And then the pursuing defenders all over pursue, and Javonte. And look, Tyler Nubin, I felt like had a bad game here just because he had like 3 missed tackles, and there were other plays where I don't even know if it counted as a missed tackle, but I'm just like, you're better than that, man. I've watched enough of you to know you're better than that. So he can definitely have cleaned his
like crazy on that play, especially when you consider that they had defenders walling it off and pushing it back inside. That was, I thought, Holland's job on the play. So I'm really surprised at the angle that Nubin took. Maybe it was just too aggressive and he was just over pursuing it, but it really made a difference. Nubin, this is what we talked about in the preseason. We're like, oh, great. We finally have Nubin and Holland. We're not going to deal with more as many plays where we just see a third level defender taking a terrible angle and it leading to plays like this. But there we are. We got one.
Yeah, and also think about it from this perspective. The Giants struggled to fit counter. They worked on it. They did a good job all game doing it. Now you don't have Darius Muasau in there. So you have a backup, basically special teams linebacker, and they caught the Giants in one of their packages where Tay Banks is on the field. And Tay Banks and Board were both to that side. Maybe nobody made a mistake. I would say Tay Banks does, just because of the passive look in this play and the effort here. But maybe he expected Chris Board to squeeze this or something. Like, I'm not 100% sure. I'm just trying to suss through. But if you were to ask me, it's like you have Jalen Tolbert coming at you, and that's all you do. You know, like back Jalen Tolbert into Javonte Williams. You still have Holland.
You could close that gap so easily.
It's Tay Banks. These are the types of plays that he fails to make that come up on film pretty often.
Weird. Yeah. They're just weird lack of effort plays. It almost feels like.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't even like, so it could be lack of effort. That's like the first thing I jump to, but it also might just be him being awareness. Like, well, I'm supposed to have the outside. So should I not take on this instead of being like instinctive and understand, oh, dude, he's running right behind Jalen Tolbert. Let me just back Tolbert right into his ass instead of doing something like that. And then the Giants will rally and tackle. So maybe it's not just the effort, but it's the lack of understanding of what to do in this situation, which is just as bad. Almost. I never say effort.
Great point.
He's not an instinctual player. This is why he sucks at the catch point, Dan. This is why he can't do anything at the catch point. He has no football awareness at all. He's just a great athlete. That's what Tay Banks is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right, and it's unfortunate because we used a first-round pick on him, and we traded up to get him because we couldn't miss him, according to Joe Shane. That's the thing; these hubris moves. They can't miss Tate Banks. I gotta trade up because I don't know. Someone might be interested in trading up above us. Well, you better be right on that evaluation if you're going to do that.
Coordinator thing for sure too. But yeah, I mean,
It
I'm not
doesn't
going to
matter
disagree
though.
with you.
Doesn't matter though. You got to get it right if you're going to do those types of moves, in my
Such
opinion.
a good throw.
And then the other things, this is one of those plays I was referencing earlier, I'm pretty sure. But the other thing with that is, shit, I lost where I was going to go with that with Tay Banks. Not a lack of effort, it's lack of instincts. Yeah, but like, how many times have we watched the Giants through the years try those receivers on insert blocks and they just get blown up? I feel like 90% of the time, it's like 10% or under. We'll see like a good.
You're so right, man. You're so right, man.
Right?
And also, like, look how tentative Jalen Tolbert. It's not like Jalen Tolbert was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna run through you here."
Right.
Like, Jalen Tolbert's like, who am I blocking? Like
it's not supposed to work. When you use a receiver as an insert block, you're just kind of hoping he gets in the way long enough for the defender to be taken out of the play. You can blow most of the time it doesn't work. Like Shepard hit a couple of them for us. We were good with Shepard. Sometimes Slayton's done a couple, but like it's just the fact that this worked the way it did it's really on Tay Banks.
Yeah, no, and I'm not surprised.
Disappointing,
to say the least. I first thought it was bored, but upon second thought, yeah. And here's another.
It's a devastating one for me.
Yeah, here's another cover 5, man. So we saw more 2-man than we're accustomed to. It's because the Giants didn't really want to play a lot of cover 1, so they just want to keep everything up top.
It's an 11-on-9 play. Like these safeties are not part of the play. When you put your safeties that far back and then you drop them like that where they're retreating, they're literally not part of the play.
Well, it's one of the reasons why the middle of the field is so vulnerable.
Yeah, it's passing. It's insane. We're playing 11-on-9. This coordinator has us going 9-on-11.
Yeah, and it's plays like this too, man. Like Dane Belton, he gets beat here by Jake Ferguson, but the Giants just got to be like perfect with their technique and their spacing underneath, getting to their landmarks, matching, understanding where the wide receivers are, what the route concept is, and the offense is dialing up so many short to intermediate route concepts to exploit all of this space.
Right.
So that's a shitty place to be in if you're a Giants intermediate defender.
Right.
And then you have plays like this. It's just like, oh my gosh, this is just a crazy throw on a 3rd and 4. It's like if any of these went the Giants' way, Dan, the Giants
win. I talked about this one. The Giants had great coverage on this one. This is just phenomenal throw and a phenomenal catch.
I know, it's insane. And Okereke does a better job being in phase. And it's one of the best throws you're gonna see, bro.
It's just an insane throw. It's also an insane catch.
You're doubling Lamb, and look at this. Look at this ball placement.
Yeah, like, and if that doesn't go their way, that's a 4th down and they punt. And the same thing with that 3rd and 8 just now. Like you don't need to retreat your safety so far off the ball. Use them like remember the times we would break down Xavier McKinney tape, Nick, you and I, before he was left the Giants, we were like, look at that angle he took down on the football. You want to know why? Because he's not playing 30 yards off the ball to try to protect a bomb. It's because he can actually break on the football a little bit.
Yeah, Xavier McKinney was quite talented.
Giants Newman could be and Holland could be too. We don't know when they're playing that far off the ball. We just don't know. They're not in the play.
Yeah, they're just acting as security blankets. And even like on plays like this, man, like they're like 12 yards off CeeDee Lamb on this. And this is another fantastic throw by Dak Prescott. And it's right on target, beating Drew Phillips on this 2nd and 11 early in the 4th quarter. And I think they called Phillips for a penalty here. No. Or was it somebody else? Maybe it was Phillips.
There was a penalty called on that for that hold. What they said was a hold.
But what hold are they even talking about?
Illegal contact, I think they called.
Illegal contact. And the Giants they get some pressure here. Who's that? Roy Robertson Harris, I think. Gets in there. We saw some Darius Alexander in this game. I mean, he didn't really do much, but he got like 15 snaps or something. Here's a 3rd and 3. Great play by Cordell Flott. Now watch this is the play I was referencing earlier. Like, I'm not sure if this is Bowen or if this is Tyler Nubin, but watch Tyler Nubin. He is towards the bottom of the screen safety, not playing at the depth that you've seen all game, right? Watch him just bait, undercut. If that was quick game, and at this point in the game, Dan, the quick game was working for Dallas. These quick little concepts to CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Jake Ferguson. So they were trying to bait it. You had outside leverage, and Dak looks that way. Dak comes off it, and he fires the football to Tolbert, and Cordell Flott does a great job forcing a punt there. That would have been amazing. Like, look, he hits that back foot, and he sees Nubin, and it's just a quick process. Get the football out, fade away from pressure. Yeah. Good bull rush right here from Kayvon to get into the pocket a little bit.
And that's all I'm
Definitely,
asking for, man. More plays like that from our safeties. And I don't think it's an instincts problem for Newbin or Holland. I think it's a depth problem.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you, man. I don't disagree with you. And here, look, quarter four, bro. This is 19 seconds left. So this is the same type of play that we saw. You have two guys, everybody's deep. You have Dane Belton walling and carrying up deep. You have Bobby Okereke. There's two underneath routes, and he kind of stays with both of those routes, but you can see the depth. And then the Giants 4-man rush gets home. And that's what Shane Bowen was attempting to do, I think, on the next play that he's being heavily criticized for. Because look, here, hold. It looks like that Kayvon Thibodeau is able to break through with the rip and hit Dak Prescott. That would have been a big play if he was able to complete that. And now here's the next play. Here's the infamous play. Dak does such a good job. He sees it's the same exact defense. He sees where Okereke is. I'm guessing Okereke was keeping his eye on Javonte Williams, who's off the side. He's in protection, and he fires that football, laser. And it's just that the depth the Giants are playing it. Got him. Look, that football's out.
Yeah. But look how easy it is. It's like out, and he doesn't have to worry about anyone because you could get mad at like what is Belton doing retreating that far? We don't care. Like you have safeties over the top. Like that's the part that frustrated me rewatching this. Like, and maybe that's what he was taught to do or what Bowen's having him do. But like, it's just the insane amount of resources that we're putting into on this play, not letting it go deep is ridiculous. Like we don't need Belton also retreating when we have two fucking safeties playing 40 yards off the ball.
I know, man. I know there's just there's no awareness or even concern, it seems like, for the middle of the field here when you got to consider what Brandon Aubrey is. Like,
it's crazy. You're letting this guy hit a 65-yard. Like you're saying, all right, we'll allow a 65-yard field goal. That's what you're saying, I think.
I know. Like,
you can't allow that because for him, that's 50. It's 50 for any other player.
Let's look at it pre-snap. You have two safety. The ball is on what, the 32-yard line. Those safeties are on the opposite 47.
Yeah, and retreating after.
And retreating, and everybody else is retreating about 10 yards to depth. Yeah. I get being conservative, but holy shit, dude.
It's as bad as it gets. You just allowed this guy to just look over the middle of the field and drive a ball 18 yards. It's insane.
18 yards. Damn, dude.
It's just an insane decision as a defense.
I know, man. And then
it's unexplainable.
One of the game-sealing plays. Giants got caught in cover one man. You have a Okereke blitz, probably a green dog, meaning he saw protection and he just went and he tried to just get in the way of Dak Prescott and not take a stupid penalty, I'm assuming. And two crossing routes. George Pickens beats, I think, a Debo.
Yeah.
And that's the game, basically, dude.
Yeah,
that's so frustrating because there are positives to take away from this defense, man. Like this is an Abdul Carter effect as well because they try the same exact look. You have the 3 technique and then you have the 2 technique, and you're gonna bring Carter from the second level. Only this time he's so dangerous that not only the center collapses on him, but Javonte Williams does as well, and that allows Bobby Okereke. This is a smart play by Okereke, mind you, and this is one of the reasons. This is one of the assets that he provides if his athleticism is waning just a bit. One of the assets he provides is he's a smart football player. He sees Javonte Williams staying, and he immediately gets into Dak Prescott's face. But Dak Prescott is a good quarterback, and he delivers a strike, and it's game over, basically.
Yep. Super frustrating. If you can, run this 4th and 3 play.
Yeah.
So this is another example. So pause it for a second if you can on your end. I don't think I can. Yeah. So we went over the 3rd and 8 where we got safeties retreating off the ball. We went over the infamous play where we got this was like the Giants had 2 chances to win this game on defense. We only talk about that last one where Aubrey had that 65-yarder. But this play, 4th and 3, the Giants got the Cowboys into a 4th and 3 from their own 35. This is a desperation play to go for this. There was a little over 2 minutes left in the game. Giants were up 3. So if and the Cowboys, by the way, would later score a touchdown on this drive, which led to the fact that us scoring a touchdown didn't give us a chance to win because Aubrey can just kick a field goal. But if the Giants get a stop here, the game's probably over. Like we need to get 1 or 2 first downs and we'll run the clock out and that's it. We kick a field goal or whatever. But look at what we're calling here on this 4th and 3. Like Wink would never call this shit. Run the play.
Yeah. Let's see. So you have condensed, 2 receivers condensed, and then 1 out wide.
There's the safeties. What are we doing here? It's 4th and 3 where we have to defend 3 yards, but for some odd reason, we need these safety valves. We're taking 2 of the 11 defenders out of the play. There's no way Dak is going to go for anything big here. Like, the Dallas wants to keep this game alive. Like, look at the route look at where they throw this ball. That's his first read, but it's easy because the safeties are out of the play.
Yeah. I'm like, from Shane Bowen's perspective, this is probably what he's thinking about is I'm not going to allow CD or Pickens to win. You have heavy inside leverage, force everything outside. And then force Jalen Tolbert to beat us, and he did.
The reason I can't respect that, though, is because you're forcing Jalen Tolbert to beat you with just a one-on-one over the middle of the field on a two-way go, which is a lot easier, in my opinion, than Dak Prescott lighting them up with a 45-yard throw that he has to get on target and beat a defensive back who's in coverage. Like, you're giving too much credit to this quarterback's ability to just light it up from 45 yards out. He's a great quarterback, sure, and any quarterback is, and we're going to have these defenses all year with Shane Bowen where we're treating our safeties because he doesn't want to do it against anyone, it appears. But like, there's a much more difficult throw to be had here on 4th and 3. It's that over the top throw outside the numbers rather than Jalen Tolbert on a two-way go over the middle with no safety help.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a 5-man rush, and the middle of the field is just such a problem for the New York Giants right now.
Let him go over the top on 4th and 3, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's these safeties playing at such incredible. Like, I know the beat should be dialed in on Thursday, asking Shane Bowen questions about this, because this was a problem last year. We criticized heavily Shane Bowen in week 2 last year, dude. Week 2, his second game as the Giants coordinator. We criticized him heavily for that. And we knew it would be consistent. And he changed it at the end of the year to account for the fact that they could not stop the run without Dexter Lawrence. And now it's right back to what we've seen. These 2 high defenses against any quarterback who can throw the ball 30 yards. And at the depth that these safeties play, it's just almost removing them from the play. I get it. You want to be conservative, but when you're getting carved up in the middle of the field and your defense is out there for 10 plays, 12 plays, and all these long methodical drives, they're going to get tired out. And that's exactly what we saw in week 2.
Yeah, I can't stand this, and I hope we don't have to watch this any longer. I hope he changes as a coordinator. You don't have to put this 3rd and 8 one. I think you went over this on yours, but you can do the last clip I have of that. But it's just a shout out to a fun story from the week that hasn't gotten a lot of. Elijah Garcia. What a phenomenal rep by him in overtime. Look at him push that. Is that Booker? It might be, right?
No, that's Steele.
It's not Booker. That's Steele. Okay, but even so, just bull rushing Steele back into the pocket and then finishing the play for an awesome sack.
Yeah, absolutely love it, dude. He had one of the, and I don't know if I have the clip on hand right now, but he had one of my favorite plays from the game, and it was an executed run assignment, gap assignment, where he goes to engage, I think, a tackle, but the tackle Guyton missed or like avoided him. So he's leaning into the contact, and then he slips, and he's just like trying to collect his balance, and he collapses the B gap in doing so, just like somebody falling to the ground. And Javonte Williams, and it was a very slow fall, right? Go to my Twitter and check it out. And Javonte Williams got spilled outside because the B gap was taken up by Elijah Garcia, who looked drunk, and it ended up going for like a 2-3 yard gain. And I was like, that's excellent by Elijah Garcia. Yes, you slipped and you fell, but you still were able to eliminate the rushing lane for Javonte Williams.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to give him a shout out as well in this. Any other concepts you want to discuss, or anything before we get into superlatives that we weren't able to hit in this?
Yeah, dude, this was, I just felt like there was a lot of stuff outside the numbers. Dak Prescott did a great job attacking middle of the field closed, and he could discern if it was man or zone. If it was zone, they're just going to attack the vulnerabilities off of a clear out to clear the deep third. And then they would hit the curl flat, like that area, to either Turpin. It was usually like a Turpin or a Ferguson, not as much Lamb and Pickens, because the Giants had so much attention on them. And then when it was man coverage, it was just crosses over the middle of the field. Just try to defend that. And Drew Phillips, he did okay, but there were some that he ended up surrendering. The Giants were very aggressive this entire game, grabbing a lot and getting flagged by a flag-happy crew as well. And I brought this up earlier, but the spot drop zone coverage is just terrible on this team. And again, a lot of that I think is scheme oriented, but these guys, they're not athletic enough at this point, nor are they executing with the correct awareness on where these routes actually are going. And when you going against a quarterback like Dak Prescott who throws with anticipation, it's deadly. Like, it's very hard to defend against. You need to rely on your pass rushers to get home. And the Giants pass rush is good. I think they had like 25 pressures or something in this game. Cowboys had like 9 against Russell Wilson, but you're not going to get home every time, especially when they're these little like subtle holds and stuff. And the Giants aren't really throwing too many creative exotic rushes because they're relying on 4 and dropping 7. And 2 of those guys are like 35 yards off the ball. So the middle of the field is like wide open, dude.
Yeah, it was a disaster, man. And it's so frustrating. I saw something today from Dan Duggan who said the Giants wanted to get an aggressive coordinator to replace Wink Martindale. And they tried to get Denard Wilson, but then they got Shane Bowen. It's like, why does this organization never think outside the box? I hate to just be in this world where we're just like, if a guy, there's Denard Wilson, he's the hottest guy in the market. That's all we can do. How about Jim Leonard? How about Jim Leonard as a Rex Ryan disciple? How about what the Packers did this offseason at defensive coordinator? They went way outside the box, and people are saying they may have the best defensive coordinator in the league so far this year. You have to think outside the box. You can't pigeonhole yourself into thinking that there's only this amount of options. They have to have experience, whatever it may be, whatever went into that process. It just feels like this team never thinks outside the box from that standpoint. There's plenty of quality control coaches who could be great defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators out there. You need to do a good job of examining those situations and finding those guys. But to just settle for Shane Bowen and then go back to the well with him this year, it's really disappointing to me, man. And I know it's hard to fire a coordinator in season. There's not much more, like there's risk behind that. If this keeps up, they should consider it because there's too much talent on this defense and they've spent too much money on this defense to lose a game like this. They should have never lost this game.
And it just seems like through the Dable era since 2022, we've said that like a decent amount, not a lot because the Giants suck and they get blown out in a lot of games.
Mostly the offense hasn't kept up the bargain. Yeah.
A lot of the times it was the offense, but there were a lot of times where it's like, week 2 last year to bring that game up again. It's like the field goal. You should have won that game, and all these little things. It's just like, when's the last time we've won a game where we're like, we shouldn't have won that game, and that points to bad coaching. Yeah. And that is the problem right now. That is the catalyst to, I think, why the Giants are in the situation, that front office possibly, but it's the people leading this ship. We're years into this thing right now. If you have another season like the last 2, it's donezo. It's donezo time. Like, you can't lose football games like this, putting up 37 freaking points.
Yeah, you just can't. And at least the Giants have done a good job just by having so many high draft picks and not forcing quarterbacks to establish star talent on this roster. Whoever gets this roster, if Shane keeps it or not, if Dable keeps it or not, they're going to have a lot of stars to work with. Depth is what they're going to need to figure out. And that's going to require good drafting, better drafting, but also just, good off-season work, getting the right guys in free agency. And the Giants are about to have an even better cap situation next year because $22 million comes off the books with Jones's. He's counting $22 million against the cap this year.
One more note: we saw some more 5-man fronts, which was cool because that puts Dexter Lawrence over the center, and I did appreciate that. We saw DJ Davidson, Elijah Garcia, and Dexter Lawrence out there, and when Dex out there sometimes, most of the times when Dex wasn't out there, you saw 3 like Roy Robertson Harris across, gapping the Giants out and forcing a tougher run opponent. But again, Giants still had like 2 plays where there was one play late where Javonte Williams scampered for a long rush. But overall, the Giants' run defense was solid. But yeah, dude, that's a lot of my notes right there.
Yep. All right, let's get to some superlatives then for this game on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm scrolling down to mine. I want to start with the unheralded player of the game on defense.
Yeah, Cordell Flott. Cordell Flott had a great game.
Yeah,
we were really concerned, dude, with like, George, who's going to cover George Pitt? Who's going to do blah, blah, blah. And the Giants were really trusting, again, Tay Banks to cover CeeDee Lamb, which says something. Cordell Flott, he got a little bit of CeeDee Lamb, he got a little bit of George Pickens, but overall, dude, he came up with plays to get the Cowboys off the field multiple times. So I have a lot of good things to say about him. I thought he played well in this one.
Yeah, I think if I'm just answering the question honestly, it's Flott for me overall. But to try to give a different answer than you, a couple other guys that stood out to me would be Roy Robertson Harris. I thought had a solid game out there, so he would come to mind for me. I thought again until he got the concussion, Muasau was much better. I don't know if I want to call unheralded, but much better. And then finally we put up the play, but Garcia, it's a great play by him, and so he can get in there as well. How about highest effort player?
Brian Burns. It seems like this guy's going to get it like every week, but
I gave it to somebody else last week, didn't I? Didn't I give it to Thibodeau?
Well, that was the point I was about to make.
Okay.
The Giants, it could have been a lot of players because the Giants were playing with a lot of effort. Like the team is flying around. Even guys like Tyler Nubin, who I felt like didn't play well in this game, he's a high effort player and he's everywhere. But Brian Burns is just he just sets a tone, man. Sets a tone.
Yeah, Burns or Thibodeau. Best player overall for me is Burns, but I could also give it to Thibodeau.
I gave it to Kayvon Thibodeau.
Okay. So it's these two though. And the good sign is Burns was winning a lot of these last year. Well, actually Dex won most of these last year. But Burns was getting some of the other ones. Kayvon hasn't gotten this award a lot with us. I'm glad to see him kind of getting in the mix for both of those two.
Yes. Player we expect to see more from.
Who do you have there?
Tyler Nubin.
Okay. That's fair. I had a few players on here. Nubin. I had Bobby Okereke. I guess I shouldn't expect it anymore. Maybe this is just what he is, but I expected it because they pay him a lot and he's our guy. Like he's supposed to be our best linebacker by far. And again, you brought it up. Like he has good plays on tape. It's just the bad plays are so bad, man. Like the speed, the foot speed just looks terrible to me. Looks like I lost Nick for a second. I think his internet connection just went out. But I can wrap up then until Nick gets back here. No, we'll wait for him. He's back. He's back. The man is back. The man, the myth, the legend, Nicholas Filato. Yeah, so I think I agree with everything you said. I also put, and I know we may disagree on this one, I put Dex on there. I think he played great in the run game. I still expect to see more from him in the pass game just because of what he showed us throughout the last 2 years. I think part of that, honestly, in some ways is Bowen too. I don't love how he uses Dex versus how we've seen Dex used in the past with Wink Martindale. Just another knock for me there. All right, pass rushing grade 1 through 10. I'm curious to get your notes on this.
Pass rushing grade. Let me just get back to my superlative section since my internet wanted to act up there. Yeah, crap that a little bit. I have a 6.9 there.
I have a high grade as well. I finished with a 7.4. I think individually they did a great job in the pass rush. He doesn't blitz a lot, Bowen, so we're not going to see crazy games, I don't think, but they won a lot, and they had some key sacks and key moments and some key pressures, so high grade for me. This is the interesting one that I want to get your take on because of where I'm at with it. Your run defense grade.
Yeah, I'm going to go 5.8 for the run defense.
Okay, so you're
I think it was solid, dude, but but there were just certain plays. And again, I hear the narrative nationally. Yeah, the Giants can't do anything against the run. It's like they improved against the run in this game. It was 1 or 2 plays that were just terrible. And I get you watch Javonte Williams scamper for a 30-yard touchdown, you're going to think the same exact thing. Like, oh, the Giants suck. But if it was Cordell Flott, who's not even a powerful player instead of Tay Banks, I think that might have just been another stop at the line of scrimmage for the Giants. Tay Banks is Tay Banks, and it was what it was.
I completely agree with that take, and I think you're spot on about that. I had what did I have here? I had a 6.0 for run defense. I thought it was above average, and I thought they did a great job in the second half, save for one play. Big step forward for me, at least in the run game. And it's an easier run scheme to defend. Let's be honest. Brian Schottenheimer, he's decent, I guess. I personally have no respect for him as a play caller, and I think it'll bear out through the rest of the season, and he'll be fired pretty soon from the Cowboys. But he's no Cliff Kingsbury, regardless of how high you revere him.
One more thought on the Dak Prescott, the 18-yard catch by Ferguson.
Yeah.
Maybe the Giants look like they're dropping to a certain depth to prevent the Dallas Cowboys from getting to midfield.
Sure.
Other than Dane Belton.
Yeah.
And it does make me think
that Belton did it wrong.
What if he messed up? Like, what if
that was just it makes really no sense for him to be retreating.
It doesn't, especially with everybody else playing at that depth, especially with all the other routes that were
two
there.
Safeties.
So I don't know. There's a lot to take away there.
Yeah.
We'll see. Maybe we'll see exactly. I don't know.
It's frustrating. Yeah.
It very much so.
Giants should be 1-1 right now. It's a really frustrating reality to live in, but I think, Nick, that they have an opportunity to potentially upset the Chiefs unless the refs get too crazy in this game, because the Chiefs are not playing great football. And I think the Giants are going to have an opportunity here to stay in this game all game and maybe have that one drive at the end where Russ can hopefully do what he did in this game and do a touchdown drive. That's how I think that game will end. It will end with the Giants having the ball down 3 or 4 and one last possession. And that's just what I'm probably sticking to all week. I don't think the Giants will do that much offensively. Spags, man, I actually, for Beyond the Box Score, which is great because it preps us for this week, watched the Eagles offense versus the Chiefs defense, because one of the questions we had in our Big Four was, can I trust any of the Eagles receivers in fantasy at this point? Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, big names that you drafted high. The answer is pretty much no. I think you'll see this if you get a chance to watch the tape, and you will at some point, Nick. They lost a lot losing Kellen Moore. I thought they had horrific route combinations in this game, the Eagles. And there was a point at the end of the game where they ran the same route combo so much to the field side that the Chiefs DBs were passing it off and predicting it so well that they got there before the receivers would get there after passing it off and switching. It was wild to watch it. And then everything for the Eagles was just quick game, quick game, quick game. But with that said, the point I'm trying to make as applies to us, because we don't run that kind of crappy off passing game. Spags, dude, like you watch Spags call a defense, it's the antithesis of a Shane Bowen defense. He is just he's just blitz all out, zero blitzes all the time. And the thing is, like I put one of these on Twitter, Nick, they were faced with a 3rd and 11, the Eagles, and Spags sold out and got a lot of pass rushers out there. And the Eagles picked it up really well. And despite that reality, they still couldn't get the ball over the top, and they had to settle for an 8-yard out route on a 3rd and 11 that was cut short, because that's the reality of NFL. You're not going to that vulnerable over the top. Quarterbacks have to make the play, and they're not always willing to make that throw either, by the way.
I'm wondering exactly how Spags wants to play Russell. It makes me want, and it's a different system. So I don't know how, but again, I remember Russell Wilson in the Denver Broncos when he was a laughing stock with Denver, was pushing the Kansas City Chiefs that were respectable. Right now, they're 0-2. They have the same record as the New York Giants. It seems very bold for me to sit here and be like, oh, well, the Giants might go 1-2 and the Chiefs will go 0-3 with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes on the other sideline. I think it's a possibility, but it's the coaching edge is so massive for the Kansas City Chiefs.
The coaching edge is so massive for the Chiefs, but I will say this, and I haven't watched the film yet of the Chiefs offense versus the Eagles defense. From what I've heard, one, Andy Reid's run scheme is not working right now, and their run game is not working at all.
Doesn't seem like it.
Two, and this is the big one, because Jacob and I spent time this past offseason ranking all the quarterbacks, and we used a ton of data from FDN and Fantasy Points Data Suite. Patrick Mahomes was genuinely speaking bad at the quarterback position last year from all charting. I'm talking about throws, Nick, in the 5 to 10 range, the 10 to 20, and then the deep throw. And we're talking about not just throws where he was pressured. We're talking about clean pocket throws and pressure throws. His ball placement and his accuracy was terrible last year. So far this season, Jacob had this amazing stat on the show. I forget now. He was like on throws where he wasn't pressured this week in week 2. He had the highest off-target throw rate of any quarterback in the NFL. There's a genuine case to be made that Patrick Mahomes is not playing good football right now. It's crazy to say about him, and this could come back and slap me in the face this week if he just has an unreal classic Mahomes game against us. But he's not playing his best football up to this point, and he hasn't been for like a 20-game stretch. So I just think that's a reality of the situation. And I think it's going to give us a chance to compete in this football game. I don't think we're going to score a lot. I think it's going to be like a 20-17 type game. But I think
that seems like it's just the thought that we came on this podcast and chastised Shane Bowen so much, and now we're like, I think everything
down for 17. Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Honestly, if there's ever a time that you want to maybe employ that type of strategy, it's against a team that can't run the football and a team that has Patrick Mahomes on the other end. So maybe that works in the Giants' favor, but it's hard to bet on Shane Bowen. But with all that said, I'm glad you relayed a lot of this information to our audience and myself, because I think it's very valuable. Because look, we still think of the Chiefs as the Chiefs, but right now they are sputtering a little bit, and they could easily get back on track.
On offense, I want to make
that
clear.
And that's and again, I'm not buying into this Russell Wilson resurgence and thinking this is what we're getting all the time. And I don't mean like the 450. I just mean like in general. Like I'm still at that, like if he could have a down performance, we might see Jackson Dart in the next game type of thing, because I saw how bad Matt Eberflus's defense was. I saw the miscommunications. Russell Wilson is a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he can make you pay when you have those miscommunications. One of the reasons why we like to have him here, he has one of the best deep balls still in the NFL. There's a lot to praise Russell Wilson for, but when you can scheme against Russell Wilson's limitations and you don't have those miscommunications, we see what Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders did against Russell Wilson, especially if you can get after him with an offensive line that is suspect right now. So I'm in that boat when it comes to Russ. I like Russell Wilson. I think he's
this is not the matchup for him, in my opinion. We'll see if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I wonder like what was those successes, if there even were. Maybe I'm misremembering from his time in Denver, because he was in the division with them. He played I think 3 games. I think he was hurt for one of them. But maybe it was 4.
Let's look it up real quick, and you just filibuster me through real quick.
Yeah.
And talk through this as I try to find his career game log. I'm just very curious. What years was he with that team again? 2023 was one of them.
Yeah, it was 2022 and 2023. Nathaniel Hackett and then Sean Payton. That was quite the experience.
So 2023 against the Chiefs, that was a bad game. They lost 8-19. He had 13 of 22 for 1 TD and 2 interceptions. But let's see the other game against Kansas City. And why can't I find this? The other game against Kansas City, he had 3 touchdown passes, but only went 12 of 19 for 114 yards. That was in 2023. Let's see if 2022 was any better.
Probably not. 2022 was a disaster. 2023 was at least his better
year. You have a memory. You have a decent memory. I know what you're thinking of now. In 2022, he actually did okay. He had 247 and 3 TDs in one of the games against the Chiefs, and they lost 28-34. So I think you're just probably thinking of that game where they were in it the whole game and then lost.
Wasn't he concussed in it? I think that game. I think the game where he only had the 19. He was running into the end zone. He was at the goal line. And he got smacked by a Chiefs defender, and he got concussed. And he missed the rest of the game. I kind of remember. So I think he was cooking in that game. He was Russell cooking Wilson, and then he got hurt. But someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's probably right, because he had 247 and 3 TDs, and they almost won that game. So maybe he can bring that back. I kind of feel like Russell Wilson fits Brian Daboll better than he fits any of these other coordinators. I said that, and I think that's Daboll and Kafka, we can say, especially with guys like Neighbors, that he just has so much trust in Neighbors. That first touchdown pass, he just threw it up saying I don't need to be pinpoint on this throw. I just know this dude's going to catch this football. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Long week to go for the Giants, obviously. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Big Blue Banter podcast. Please hit the like button. Please rate it. Please subscribe it on iTunes and Spotify. Rate and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Do all of those things to help us grow the show. And we'll be back with a preview of the Giants Chiefs later this week.